welcome to the Grown Up Group. This is a podcast where we discuss topics and issues that's facing our Black community. And I would like to welcome Joe. Joe's been a part of our podcast since day two. And then
Right.
there's myself, Ty, as well. So, Joe, I'll just let you start. Let's start with the situation with ICE. I kind of want to talk about ICE, and simply because I know we've been off air for a while,
Right.
but that's been one of the things that we've constantly been faced with. And some of the topics that I've seen with ICE is kind of like the detainment centers, how ICE is, navigating through their policing, and how they've been, really working with the minorities. So I love to get your take on what your thoughts on ICE.
Well, my thing with ICE is that okay. We have to go back to what ICE is meant for, like their sole purpose. And
Yes.
again, ICE's purpose is to we have Customs and Border Patrol whose jobs are to protect the borders. But
Yes.
once there's a breakdown in that system, now we have Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Their job, their sole purpose, their setup, their constitutional warrant is to, arrest, detain, and deport people who are in this country illegally.
Yes.
Now, and for a long time, they have been playing in the background. But what I tell people is that what ICE is doing now is not new. ICE has been doing that for decades. Okay. ICE has been doing this since their inception. This isn't new. And here's a kicker. And when it comes to politics, I don't lean specifically towards one side or the other. I tend to go with the person or the party we need at the time.
That's very true.
Now,
That's a very good point.
so when people look at ICE now, how they're out in the streets and out in neighborhoods, how they're grabbing people who are here illegally, what a lot of people, Democrats, our people, a lot of people are appalled at it. Okay. But here's the kicker. They are enforcing laws that were put in between 2008 and 2016.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
By President Obama. These are the laws they're enforcing.
Yeah.
Okay. When he was in office, he made a big speech and said, we will protect our borders and we will remove people who are in this country illegally by any legal and constitutional means that we have. Those were his words.
Yes.
Okay.
But do you think they since violated those constitutional rights? That's the biggest question out there, especially with the detainment centers that they have and how people are being treated. They're kind of dehumanizing, people that don't really belong. But if that's the case, then you think there'd be immediate deportation. You think that they wouldn't be detained or held kind of like against their will. What do you think about that?
Right. Now, see, that's where, that's where I agree with you.
Yeah.
Again, I have no problem with ICE going out and detaining people who don't belong in this country.
Right.
But again, whatever you do, there's got to be a humane way to do it.
Okay.
I think the detainment centers need to be looked at, need to be monitored, need to be governed. And you don't, I don't. Okay, fine. You snuck into the country. Yeah, you deserve to be detained and deported. But again, while that process is going on, we have to treat people like human beings. That is one thing I want to see reform and improvement on. Let's treat these people like human beings.
Yeah.
They're here illegally. Okay, yeah, fine. But again, you treat them like human beings. You get these detainment centers running efficiently, feed these people, house these people, clothe these people.
Right.
Don't separate families.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the hardest part, like seeing kids being dragged away and separated from their mothers and fathers. And especially if you do want to separate, if you do want to divide, at least give them a parental guide, someone that they won't be fearful, like, leaving minors unattended, not with someone that they love. You think about that. That's kind of sad world that we're living in, though, because that's what's happening right before our eyes.
It is.
I'll let you finish your statement.
Yeah, no, that you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I mean, whatever the children that are here, it's it's not their fault. We have to kind of put in parameters to make sure that we're not separating families, we're not taking children, because first of all, these children are in a land they don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? With
Well,
people,
because some
some
of
of
them
them,
was born here. So
right? Some
that's
of them were
another
born here,
thing I was going to get
right?
to with the detainment centers. Like, at least through the background research, if they have a United States birth certificate and they were born here, at least give them the privilege of sitting. And I hate to say we'll flood our, foster system with it,
Mhm.
but at least put them in a home where they'll have foster care, where there will be some parental guidance that they do have. If they are here legally, and it's
Agreed.
unfortunate that their parents weren't, legal citizens, but the
Right.
child may be, and that's not even the research being done. And I want to take it back to, I did a comparison from 1920s, and forgive me, world, but Hitler, when Hitler took over, was trying to do his, whole takeover of Germany, that was some of the things that he did in his detainment centers. He basically built these locations that were previously, used as, different camps or military bases. And,
Mhm.
Trump took a page from that book. He put 45 million, I think $45 billion, $45 billion to convert these places from military camps and tents to detainment centers that were warehouses. And the
Yeah.
sad part to me is that there's a separation, like you said, adults on one side, children on the
On
other
the
side.
other.
And there should never be any type of separation. In addition to creating these detainment centers that I really think that shouldn't be, they're being heavily policed. So they're not giving the accommodations that they would to just be a functioning person living on the planet. Bread and water is not a meal. Milk and water
Right.
is meal. Like, even if we can't afford to keep up with those type of accommodations, like I said, you should have an immediate process. Do you belong here? Where are your documents? You process, do you go back to your country? Ship
Yeah.
them out where they belong instead of keeping them in these detainment centers for long periods of time. The person held in a detainment center for the longest is 7 years. 7 years in the process of being in a detainment center. That is sad. Why does it
That's
take
pathetic.
7 years
Yeah.
to search, locate that person's original origin, and then move them along to where they need to be? I don't understand it.
It does not take that long.
Not only that, it's taking away from dollars that we could be investing. We
Mm.
could seriously be investing into our economy and our world that we live in. Another thing that they said that I thought was kind of funny is that they're using a justification of security or protection under this false narrative of his ideologies of what he believes is an immigrant. So, what is considered an immigrant? Are we all not immigrants? Are we all not immigrants?
The country was built on immigrants.
Thank you. I was taking it back. I'm like, we're all a form of immigrants simply because we did not originally live in the United States. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I was born here. I belong. No, you don't.
Yeah, you
No,
were
you
born
don't.
here. Right.
If you look at the Native Americans and what we've done to them, come on.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the origins of the United States of America, and that's just the honest truth. So if I look at it and I take it back to the textbooks, even if we didn't originate from Africa, wherever your original origin is, it's not the United States of America. We all landed here somehow, some way. And that's all I do want to say, because Native Americans, they were forced
from their lands onto reservations.
They were here first.
While this country, just expanded and just took hold. Yeah. And put these people on agencies and reservations. Yeah, it's sad.
It is really sad. So even I go back to the criticism of the humanity of what we're doing while we're there in those detainment centers. So that's a big piece of it to me, because I'm like, I'm a human being. I should be allowed to use the restroom whenever I need to use the restroom. I shouldn't be policed how I'm moving and what I'm doing while I'm there. I understand, to be jailed for 7 years, because that's what it really comes down to.
That's exactly what it is.
Do anything, so you're jailed. It's really a detainment center,
and
I look at any jail system just the same. Is we're taking our tax dollars and putting it into a system, an institution that they're going to be policed, modified, and secured. And it's unfortunate that we've come to that way from 1920s all the way to 2026. It's a sad world we're living in right now. And then I'll move it over to the war. February 2026, the 28th of February, the end of Black History Month. He had to do it, right? He had to push the button and say, we're going to war.
Yeah.
We going to war. I'm like, who are we talking about? Because I'm not beefing.
Like, what you mean we?
Exactly. I was like, who are we talking about? Because I'm not beefing with it. I don't have no war with anybody.
Right.
But he clarified. He did say, we're going to war because. And then he gave the statements, and I was kind of sitting there like, so we're basically now going to bully.
Yeah, but
to try to get our way again. This is what his whole lead is in his whole presidency to me. It's just this whole bully method of like, I'm gonna do a hostile takeover till I get what I want. It's crazy. What are your thoughts on the war?
Well, here's the thing.
His war.
Yeah. It's a lot going on. Between all the conflicts around the world and all the aggression that we've been seeing from, a lot of, from the other countries that are, have been either allies at one point or aggressors at one point. It's different. I go back to 93 when the first time when the World Trade Center was bombed.
Yes.
Now, the president at the time, Bill Clinton, was in office. And what happened with that was, and you see, that bombing was a litmus test. That bombing was a test by the early inception of Al-Qaeda that was backed by Pakistan and Iran. That was their way of saying, let's see what we can do and how far we can go.
Yeah.
So they put a bomb into one of the most iconic structures in this country, the World Trade Center. Okay.
Yep.
And when Bill Clinton, when that crime was prosecuted, okay, it was not classified as an act of war by a terrorist organization. Because here's the thing, whenever a terrorist organization commits a violent act upon domestic soil, it is considered an act of war. But that is not how he framed it. He made it a state crime.
Yes.
So he charged the people who did it at the time the same way as if he would charge you or I if we did that.
Right. Yeah.
So what happens is they said, oh, so wait a minute. If we blow up their most iconic structures, he's just going to put our people in jail? Yeah. Oh, shit, that's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They took that on the chin real quick, right?
Yeah. They said, oh, we can do that.
It wasn't threatened at all.
Right. And then what happened 8 years later? 9/11 came and they decimated our most iconic city in this country and killed 2,700 people.
Yes.
Okay. And it wasn't until then that the U.S. said, all right, enough bullshit. We're about to go blow something up.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we have to take that serious.
Right.
That threat right there alone, it was now action. So it's like, we could threaten them with but so much measures before they were like, okay, now we need to go live and really show them we're the greatest country for a reason, right?
And what we can do.
Apply that pressure.
Right.
That's what they had to do. Yes.
And that's what happened. And so after everything was said and done, I remember we were beefing with Iran back in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Right. And so after that, what came out of that is that you are now designated as a terrorist country. And no terrorist country can produce or own nuclear weapons. But they started a program anyway. So again, I go back to 2008. Press conference, big thing. They said, well, what's going to happen what are you going to do if Iran decides they want to start a nuclear program? Oh, they better not. If they do, they're going to feel the might of the United States. Yeah, you know what Iran did between 2008 and 2016? They beefed up their program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from 2016 to 2020, you know what they did? They said, hey, let's mute this and take it underground.
Yeah.
And then from 2020 to 2024, they bolstered their nuclear program because people came in making the same threats and did nothing.
Yeah.
They did nothing.
And it is now, like we can learn a lesson to say, okay, we need to show action instead of just talking. And that's exactly what I think the United States' biggest error was. If we're going to be anything, let's be consistent, right? So we learned our lesson in the past. The history, our history teaches us, and we continue to fall for the same, issues, the same problems. And I think we should have took that action. back in 1980. Back in 1980, if we would have took action back then, there would have been no fast forward and it would have been no 9/11. That's my honest truth. When the 9/11 thing incident happened, I was working in New York City and I was one of the people I worked right by the World Trade Center. You should have saw how fast I heard a noise and I immediately sneakers on out the door. I hit that stairwell and I was 3 buildings away. I worked on Cortland at the time, and Cortland's right across.
Yes.
Exactly. So I heard the boom. And when I heard the boom, there was no conversation to me. Everybody else was looking around. What happened? What happened? I was already at the exit and I was down the stairs. There was no conversation needed to be had with me. They were taking a head count in the office, and I called them from the path, like, hello, yeah.
Look, I'm about to get on the train.
I was already on 23rd. I don't even know what they was talking about because I didn't even go to
you on 23rd already.
I was 10 blocks away from where they was originally at, and they said, well, "Where did you go?" And I said, "I'm on 23rd," and I was not even on the phone with a boss. I was on the phone with a coworker, and I told her, I said, "I got out of there." I said, "I heard that boom, and I was going to put my sneakers on to go to the bathroom." I was like, "Well, let me run to the restroom real quick," and I heard a boom, and I was like, "Stairwell, boom, 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 boom."
Yeah, let me just bounce.
At that. So I heard a boom, and it was just like it shook our building. I was like, "Nope, I'm out." And there was no conversation needed. I knew the course of action to take. I've heard things, the blackouts, all of the things that's happened in New York City. I know New York is an immediate threat.
It is.
You hear the talks and the whispers throughout the town. You've seen past events. Like I said, history teaches us a lesson. Where my shoes at? I gotta go. And I was down that stairwell so quickly.
Had them sneakers on and popping.
I was gone. It is. But and it's a sad world that we have to live in because I keep my guard up to the minute of this day because of that reason. Now I know to hop in a cab and just get the first thing out of the state because I've learned that lesson. The blackout. That's what I did. I hopped in the first yellow cab and he charged me $75 to go back to New Jersey. And I was like, I don't care, just get me there. Whatever way you gotta get there, get there. And no lie, they gave us a pass through the whole tunnel and everything. But we'll get back to the issue that we've been talking about. The war. So you're 100% right. The past.
And when and what happens is, and this is what, and I understand, people, feel a certain way because, Trump, he's just invading this country, whatever. But here's the thing. Look at what's going on. We have Russia at war with Ukraine.
Yes.
We have North Korea showing aggression to South Korea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have Hamas and Israel going at it. And then we have China showing aggression to Taiwan, that they want to get that back. Now, China and Russia, communist countries, okay?
Yeah.
All right. And then you have Hamas, okay, which has, ties into ISIS.
Yes.
And then you have Iran. So what you have is in this country, we have more terrorist cells than we do communist cells.
Yeah.
So what happens when communists get together and say, hey, we're doing what we're doing to these countries, to Ukraine and Taiwan, but fuck, we know the U.S. is going to intervene. That's all right. We hook up with Iran and Hamas, who already have cells in the U.S., and they can help us out on that end.
Yeah.
So you got to be proactive in that. You got to look at what's going on around the world and then say, okay, maybe this thing in Iran isn't as crazy as it sounds.
Yes.
Because you take Iran out the picture, you knock out one of the most well-funded terrorist countries on the planet.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, and and this is how you have to look at this. People want to look at it from one perspective. Oh, they're just doing this because they want to monopolize oil. It has nothing to do with oil. Yeah. It's about not going through what we went through back in 2001 because we were too blind and too cocky to think that we can get hit.
Yeah, that's true.
And to me, this is about us hitting first because Iran has been a country full of terrorists since the freaking 70s.
I was about to say it. It's been quite a long time that they've been trying to put down pressure on us in the United States.
And they've been getting the pass for 50 years.
Yeah. But, I think because of the gas and the oil, that's why we've allowed them the courtesy. I honestly want to say that because other countries, they use them as a resource as well. Right. They know that they have that. They know that they have that. But you 100% right. So when Iran retaliated, so think about that. After we attacked Iran, they retaliated right away.
Oh, absolutely.
There was no pause for them. The one
No.
thing that I thought was comical was they don't want to bomb the United States solely because Black people live here. And I was like, wait, what? My cousins over there in the other country is considered enough to think about us as a people. And now we're the last people. They're the absolute last people, or categorized as the last people that Trump would take in consideration if that, well, outside of Latinos that don't belong here in the world. You think about the immigration, he's targeting like you're more Latinos more than anything. But I said it, I was like, I thought that was comical. And I said, where did that come from? Where was that fact? Where was it printed that Iran will not target or bomb? Because if that was the case, how did 9/11 happen? How did 2008 happen? How did 1980, whatever? And you know, like I think about all that. I'm like, we've been here. We've always been here.
We've always been
part
here.
of the population. So that's not a true statement, in fact. No, but it's like anything to jump on a bandwagon and, you know, drag our names into something. And I'm like, how did we end up here? How did we end up being this part of the conversation? I don't understand it, but I thought it was quite comical as I was scrolling and reading kind of the comments and the notes and why that was said. And I'm like, no, I don't care what anybody says. That's such a false narrative that somebody created. That
People would love to believe it, but it is not true.
It's not true. It's not a true statement.
Because even you know, even as Black people, we go to Middle Eastern countries, and not for nothing, we are treated no different than any white American. It's a proven fact.
Very true. Yes.
Yes. Look at a few years ago, the Black woman who got locked up because she yelled.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that. Okay. I do recall. That's crazy. Yeah.
And the other Black female who got locked up because she tapped an airport worker in Dubai on the shoulder.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that. Wow. She tapped him on the shoulder
because you know, women
are not supposed to approach men or address men. And that's why you usually have to have like an interpreter with you. So men he's speaking on behalf because you're a woman, you're less than. Right.
So and these were both Black women. Now, if they were white women, the same thing would have happened.
Yeah.
So we got to get off this fact that Iran looking out for us. No,
not at all.
And if you do hear that narrative,
all these centuries, like what are you talking about? There's been war before and after, and if you look at our population of men in the army or women in the army, hello, they're our color. That don't stop them from shooting or bombing. No, absolutely.
No. And that's the same. And if that narrative does come out to be any part of true, it's the same propaganda that was done during World War II and Vietnam. World War II, they had a woman come out to tell Black soldiers, hey, this isn't your war. We won't hurt you. Come over to our side. We'll take care of you. You know? So people need to stop that. But and I think people need to look. You got to look at the totality of the circumstances and the situation right now around the world.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Because when world wars break out, countries pick sides.
Yes.
So if a war were to break out tomorrow, you will have Russia going over with North Korea, pulling Iran into the fray. China, who has one of the largest armies in the world next to the US, will be on that side.
Right. Yes.
And then they're going to fund Hamas. China will fund Iran. China will give Iran weapons to fight against us. So these are the things that people have to look at. And I always say, get out your feelings and look at what's going on. Because at the end of the day, bombs come over here. They're not going to say, oh, we ain't going to touch you because you Black. We're going to go to the house next door that's white.
No. I'm like, we're everywhere. We're in every state. Like, what are you talking about? So that was the one thing that I did say. And I said they retaliated with, drones and bombs. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, sure. They didn't come for us. But they went for Israel. They went for other surrounding countries that are affected. So I'm like, okay. So, they didn't come straight to the United States and start bombing here. But that doesn't mean that we're exempt. That doesn't mean just because of a nationality or, us being here that they are now longer like, oh, we roll up our sleeves, you wave the white flag.
No,
we don't.
It's not going to happen.
It's like it's not about that. Absolutely.
Whoever within these borders will get hit. So again, it's one of those things. The thing in Iran right now is one of those things you wish didn't have to be. But in all honesty, I think it's something that had to happen before it gets too late, because there are too many conflicts going on with other countries that are not our allies.
Yes.
That could quickly turn against us, and you got to be proactive.
I agree. When
you're a world power, you got to be proactive.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to be. Why do you think
the approach is maybe where I have
and that's what it is.
So that's it. Yeah, it's the way the approach. It's like
way he went about
a Twitter announcement, and then I'm on a microphone and I'm like, yeah, I'm beefing with this, and we're going to take action today.
Yeah,
and I'm like, come on, man.
You got to be a bit more presidential
lead
about it.
to it. Yes, and he has no grace. Right. He has no prestigiousness about it. Like when I look at. I know everyone says, "Oh, Obama did nothing," but that man could speak. That man definitely knew how to get on a podium and hold a conversation, and make you feel like you're a part of an action.
Obama was very presidential.
Yes.
Now, I'll be the first to say I disagree with a lot of Obama's politics.
Yes.
But the man wore the office well.
Yes, he did. That's exactly where this Trump and his whole leadership, his presidential, the whole thing has been like, to me, and I'm going to say it, a joke solely based on his actions, on how he takes the action. It's everything is a joke. He gets online. He doesn't even know how to pronounce the state, the government, the countries. He doesn't even know what he's 100%. Saying. I'm like, how old is he again? How old is this man again? 82?
Yeah. 82. I agree 100%. And don't get me wrong. I look at a lot of things he does in office, and the sad thing is a lot of the things he has done in office get overshadowed by his mannerisms.
Yes.
To the point where he's done some good things but you don't hear about it because it gets overshadowed by the thuggishness of the way he approaches
the way situations. He's leading 100%. 100%. I think we've lost the respect for him as our leader solely because of how his actions have been so reckless and how he's gone about leading or presenting information even to us or other countries watching us, because we become some run-on joke now to other countries. Like, look at this. What is this man going to do today?
Right.
And that's even our question. What is he going?
What's going to happen now?
And see that he announced. Falsely or not, that's just who he is in his nature at this point. It's kind of crazy.
And you know what's funny? And this is one fact about him that I tell people, and they go, "What?" And I say, "No, look it up." Mm-hmm. So during his first presidency, and we might have talked about this before. Mm-hmm. So every president, goes forward and voluntarily gives an endowment to HBCUs throughout the country.
Yes,
and they give this blanket endowment. They give it to a few schools here, a few schools there, and say, "Hey."
Yeah, we did talk about this before. I remember.
Right, we talked about it. Yeah. And do you know he was the first president to come in and say, "This shouldn't be something that a president does because they want to. We need to make this a law. We need to put this on the books."
Yeah.
So he was the first president to say that every year HBCUs will get a guaranteed amount of money.
Yeah.
So they can continue to function.
Yes.
And people are like, he did that? And I'm like, yes, but you don't hear about it because they don't want you to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so
yes.
And these are the reasons why I'm like, dude, if you would just shut up sometimes.
Yeah, just be tactful.
Let your good shit shine.
Be tactful. Just to be human.
Yeah.
If he just showed some type of human, I always look at him, and especially when he started bringing Elon, and I'm like, they're like robots. You know what I mean? Like there's no human, element behind them. And I originally remember when we talked about him on the podcast, why people like, Trump. And I always said people like a walking fuck up. Like, that showed his human side where he's just like, just fumbling about
right.
his policies and his rules and lack of knowledge. But it's like now you get to the point where you should be more refined because you've been here 4 years previously.
You've been here,
you should be able to jump in and be able to okay, this is it. Like, now I have to stand up and be strong and straighten my back a little. He's never shown us that. So I think that's what we're looking for, that refinement that never happened with him. He just leaves because that's if that's on his mind, he's just going to say it. Like, is what it is.
And I think if he does that, people can accept his actions with a bit more understanding, or the people will try to understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you notice one thing, and I think it's in all of us, even when we were younger, when our parents said things, even though we didn't question it, but sometimes you got to say, damn, all I want is just like a little explanation. Help me understand why.
Yes, yes.
And
That's one
what
of the
would they
policies
say?
that I do now. Whenever someone asks me to do something and I don't have the immediate understanding, I simply ask why. And if the person gets agitated by me asking a question, I know it doesn't have great intentions. So it's so crazy that you say that, because I always say, but why? And I'll never forget, it happened in a couple of instances where I was like, okay, I'm definitely not going to do that action that was asked of me. And then I didn't, and it came back and it was like, oh, I'm happy I didn't proceed with that, because it would have came back and bit me on a caboose. And I'm like, thank God I didn't follow the lead someone blindly, because you should never just take direction blindly. You should always know the why. If it doesn't make dollars, it don't make sense. And I tell people that all the time. If you have to ask the question why, it's a reason. It's like, if you can't provide that immediate response and it doesn't make sense, okay, then I'm not going to press it. I'm just simply not going to follow your guide. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, it's that simple to me.
It is, and it really is, and that's all people. And I think that's all the American people really want from him when he takes these actions. Is just, give us an understanding, and and with me, I'm like, okay, well, let me, so I go and I dig and I try to understand what's going on. I look at the full picture, but a lot of people aren't going to do that. And a lot of people don't have the time, resources, or understanding to do that, which is which I get. So sometimes you got to spoon feed people and say, hey, listen, we are taking these actions because the United States needs to understand that the world as we see it right now is at bitter conflict, and we need to protect our position and our people. Just tell them that.
Right. You see how easy you said it and expressed it. If you were on the podium, people would be applauding, because that's the refinement that we're asking for, Trump to give us. And he has never provided understanding or why. And I think solely because he doesn't understand why. You know what I mean? That's if you were able to speak to it as easily as you just stated, everybody would be applauding. Everybody would be backing him. It's just his approach.
Explain it like you're explaining to a fifth grader. You have to say, listen, when you're on the playground and you have a group of kids that are lining up against one other group, what do? You protect yourself. That's all we're doing right now as a country, is protecting ourselves.
Yes.
People will love that. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Spoon feed people.
I agree.
And they will understand what we're doing right now. So, it's like I said, it looks bad because of the way he's explaining it, but the totality of it is that it's, war is always unfortunate, but unfortunately, sometimes war is necessary.
Yeah. So let's give a quick wrap, because we are ending up our time. I did want to ask you to give me a summary of what you feel the world is and the condition and how we could better some things.
Yeah. For me, real quick, it's that the world would be better off if there was more communication from our White House to help us understand what's going on. And in lack of that conversation, of that communication, I think the people need to do their research and understand for themselves.
Yeah.
Stop going with the news and CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever. Do your research. Understand the situation. Understand where the world is right now, and look at the position that we're in. And I think we will all have a better understanding, and we will all move forward better.
I agree with you 100%. My wrap for this is basically like kindness. So it's one thing that we've been missing in the world to this minute of the day. And it's kind of crazy. I want to go back from, think about the era of the 1980s and, 70s and 90s, where we were carefree and we were kind and we treated people like people, and I think we're so far gone from that. Everything is a move. We got to rush. We got to fast pace. Everything is, I need it now. Nothing is taking its time. Nothing, even in this world that we're living in. I see things happen in front of me and I'm just like, all it took was some just human decency, some kindness, just to be like, okay, we'd be a whole different world, a whole different planet if we just put something so simple into place as adding back kindness and treating people like human beings. And it's crazy to me. Like I talk about ICE, and we talked about ICE and we talked about the war, but in all honesty, That's what really we need in this world. And it's so bad to go back to, we need peace, love, and understanding. But that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's something so simple and basic that we were taught when we were so small. It's so crazy how such a child can walk away and teach you a lesson, even with the race and, all of that we navigate in this world. Just follow the lead of our children. Unfortunately, that's what it takes. You see a kid run into school, any and everybody is their friend. And it's like, now we see each other and we're like, move out my way. And
right.
You proceed to go forth in this world. But you need kindness, you need loving, you need understanding. And we just need to go back to the basics, to me. And that's in our presidency, that's in our leadership, that's in anything that we do in life, in this world. That's what it really comes down to me. Yeah, we do. And we're so far gone from that element. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
True indeed.
That's how I truly feel. I was telling somebody that today, and they were like, you know what? That's the first time I heard that in a long time. And I'm like, yeah, because we're so far gone from it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna say the statement, move, bitch, get out my way type of mentality. Everybody has. I need what I need, and you need to move. And I'm like,
so I can get what I need.
Yeah.
I don't care about what you need. I need what I need. No, we got to get back to saying, hey, this is what I need, and this is how I'm going to get it. So how can I help you get it too? That's what we need to be.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe. That was phenomenal. That's exactly what I needed. Thank you for joining the Grown Up Crew where we discussed the state of the world today. Joe, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe.